Hello everybody, welcome back to Cannonball Cottage. Today we're going to make a ragu, a Bolognese. Originally, I suppose you guessed that it actually comes from Bologna, and I'll just run you through the ingredients. We have some onion, carrot and celery. We have some 2 bay leaves and some nutmeg, some salt and some pepper. We have some ground beef, and we also have some ground pork and pancetta. I've ground this one up. I bought that beef as it was, but I've actually had to cut the pork and the pancetta up and then put it into the food processor to create this. We have some milk, we have some tomatoes, and we have some wine, and we have some butter. I don't know if I've already done that, but anyway, this trio here is known as a sofrito. And to get started, I'm actually gonna just roughly chop this and then put this into the processor to break it down, and then we'll start with the process. Just drop it into the processor. Some people actually don't process it this small. Some people like to leave bigger chunks in their ragu, but I quite like it a little bit smaller. But get ready for the noise. Once we plug it in, there you go, and off we go. So that'll do very nicely. Bring this pot across, and in the pot here we have olive oil and butter. Originally they just used butter actually, but I'm actually put some olive oil in there too, so we'll just get this in here to start sweating down. I'll just get a spatula. And also, contrary to popular belief, there is no garlic in a Bolognese. However, nowadays people have all their own ideas how they want to create a sauce, and also, which we all know, that Bolognese goes along with spaghetti. Everyone knows spaghetti Bolognese, but in actual fact Bolognese was originally never served with spaghetti. It was either served with pappardelle or tagliatelle or tagliatelle, and that was the original. But of course it's now gone to, everyone knows it's spaghetti Bolognese. So there you go, we're on our way here with, I'll just raise the temperature, try and get this moving on. This actual sauce, or ragu as you want to call it, isn't a quick fix. It's really a meal that takes a few hours. But once you've gone through this process, it needs to be left to simmer for 2, maybe even 3 hours. And I've actually got one of these sauces at the moment on the stove top just behind me, so that I can show you what it actually turns out like. Once we've gone through this process of showing you how this comes together, I'll then show you a little dish of the Bolognese that I've actually done earlier. It's been on the stove top now Just look at the clock. It's been on the stovetop for almost 2 hours, just simmering away. And the reason for that is that the longer you leave it, it actually intensifies the flavours. Right, so now we've got these beginning to cook down, and you can smell once you'll know that when it reaches this point, because you can actually smell the celery, and you know that you're okay to go now with the pork and pancetta. I'm going to put the pork and pancetta in and leave the beef just out just for a second or two, and we've got to go through the process of breaking this up, because it's been in this processor. It doesn't actually mince your meat in this process, it just sort of breaks it down and leaves it in bigger clumps. So if you do make this, unless you've actually got a mincer, you can ask your butcher to mince it up for you. But as you can see now, this is actually beginning to break down, and we just need to get some colour on that before we add the beef. As I said, people, in actual fact, when I was still at the restaurant, when I used to make Bolognese, I used to also add mushrooms, and I used to add basil and oregano. It was sort of my method of making Bolognese. Well, in actual fact, the true Bolognese doesn't have basil or oregano in it. These ingredients that I've shown you are the true, authentic Bolognese from Bologna, as approved by their city council. This particular recipe was approved to be an original, authentic Bolognese. Right, now that the pork and pancetta is coloured, in we go with the beef. Same process. We just need this to cook down, and then what we'll do is introduce a little bit of wine. And of course, as we're talking about wine, it's time I actually had a drink. Chin chin. And while we're on the subject of wine, if you use wine in your cooking, make sure that you use wine that you would drink, and not this cheap old cooking wine. You actually want in your food, as I said, the wine that you actually would drink, and it makes all the difference. It's got a. There we go. Now we're going to put a little bit of only half of this wine to begin with, just to get everything coated in the wine. And let's see if we can get this wine just to evaporate. Bring it back up to temperature. Yeah, we're on the high setting. I'm just going to take a quick look at the one that I've got going here in the background, just to make sure that's coming on okay. We don't want to overdo it. See, now that wine is just deglazing the bottom of the pan. And of course you can see all the carrot and at the moment you can see the carrot and the celery and onion in this pot. There you go. Absolutely lovely. It smells incredible. I don't know if I'm going to put any more of that in there. I'm now going to put some tomato in here. Make sure I don't want too much sauce. That's the thing. I want the tomatoes rather than the sauce. Let's try that for now. And there we have the tomatoes in there. I may well add some more. Smelling absolutely wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Now I'm going to add the nutmeg, the bay leaves, salt and pepper in this little container. I'm going to get that going. Of course, as it goes on, should you wish to add some water to it, you know, once you've left it on the stove top for a few hours and it goes a little bit on the dry side, you could always add a little bit of stock or a little bit of I'm actually going to put that in there. You could actually add a little bit of stock, or indeed just water, just to loosen it up. And as you can see now, it's quite a nice consistency. I'm actually going to pour the rest of the red wine in. And of course I've got some milk here, full fat milk, to go in. And the idea of the milk is to actually even out the acidity from the tomatoes, and this sort of just levels it out. And as you can see, this is beginning to come to. I'm going to add some of this milk. Doesn't have to be all of it, just to and see how it's changed the colour of it. But this lightness now, once it's left to simmer for a couple of hours, will change colour again and go to a deeper colour. And at the moment with this one, that's as far as I can go, because it now needs to simmer on the back burner here. I'm just going to knock the temperature down, put the lid on and let it simmer away. I'll now bring across the one I've had going for a few hours. And here it is, the finished ragu, the Bolognese. Absolutely wonderful. I'm going to add 2 bits of butter to give it that further glossiness. I don't know if you can see this. It's just going to put some temperature back on it to bring it up. It's got a lovely colour. And to display this, I'm just going to put some in a little dish. I haven't cooked any pasta off because at this point during the day we're not actually ready to eat, so I didn't want to display it with some tagliatelle, but you can serve it with the pasta of your choice, but the original pasta, the original recipe calls for tagliatelle or pappardelle, and but this is now superb. It really is. So what I'll do, I'll get a little dish and spoon some out just to show you what the finished sauce is like. I'll move this back out of the way. I'll just put a cloth on there so you can actually see. I'll just get a cloth. Just put a cloth there. There's ragu bolognese. Just a little bit of parsley across the top, and of course you could add your parmesan to your meal. And there we have the original bolognese from the region of Bologna, and here in Cannonball Cottage. I hope that you've liked what you've seen. If you have enjoyed this demonstration, please subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up and share, and make a comment, and I will get back to you if you make a comment, if you have any queries. So again, thanks very much for watching. See you again soon.